In this video, I'm going to show you how to create your proposed grade profile. Remember what I said in the previous video. We're going to create we have a high point here. We're going to send water down to a low point. I'm going to put the low point along this property line about 1200, station 1200. I'm going to create a high point about station 400, and I'm going to send water back down to station 1566. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to come over here, and this is what the existing ground looks like. Now take a look. We're on a ridge right here, and we want to actually be able to balance this. So I'm going to make the ground, our proposed grade, lower than the existing grade. So when you're doing proposed grade profiles, it's best to have an idea of how you want the site graded out before you create the profile. You can always adjust the profile later, but it makes it a little bit simpler if you have an idea of how you want it to look before you do it. So I'm going to come up here and click on Profile and go to Profile Creation Tools. Click here, and it asks me, select the profile you want to create it in. I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to change the name, and I'm going to call it Valencia Road. Usually I name the profile name the same as the alignment name, so it's a little bit easier to connect the two if I have more than one profile or alignment. Now, I'm going to leave it as a style of design profile. I'm going to leave it as a complete label set, and I'm going to click OK. What pops up is our profile layout toolbar. I'm going to come over here to the first icon. I'm going to pull it down and draw a tangent with curves. Now that means when we have something that has an algebraic difference greater than 1, we have to have a vertical curve in it. So I'm going to start out, and I'm going to connect to the endpoint. You always want to tie into existing grade. Now, make sure your ortho isn't on and your O snaps aren't on. If it is, go ahead and turn them off. If not, you'll be connecting to the top and the bottom of the graph. All right, I told you I wanted to come down to about station 1200. Okay, so about station 1200, I'm going to come down to about 27. Click on that, and I'm going to come back up to a high point, a little bit higher, at station 14. Like I said, you have to have an idea of what you want the profile to look like before you start grading. So I'm going to about 400, I'm going to bring it up to a high point, and then I'm going to bring it back down to a low point. All right, when I do that, I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. I get my horizontal or my vertical curve data to pop up. Now when that happens, I can see that the PVI was about 1200, but the low point isn't at 1200. It's at 1187. So I want to make this specific information. Like I said, these were just eyeballed information. I want to actually get accurate data. Remember, I said I wanted a high point and a low point. So our low point about 1200 and our high point about 14. We can actually get the actual station, roadway station off of our parcels. If I highlight over here, that station is about, the low point is about 11 plus 98. Now, to be able to work with the data here, instead of, you can click it and then pull the little arrows and pull this up or down. That's not the most efficient way. The most efficient way is if you use the third box to the right where it says Profile Grid View. When you click on that, you're going to get this panorama box. I'm going to shorten this a little bit so I can see all of it. That gives you this information here. You're going to have, pull this up, you're going to have high and low points. Station 10 plus 00 was my beginning station. I'm going to say I've already figured this out for what I actually need it to be based on the horizontal or based on my vertical curves. I want it to be a PVI of station 12 plus 24 with an elevation of 227.22. That automatically gives me a negative 0.35 slope down. You don't want any grade less than 0.35 because when a contractor builds it, they have a hard time building anything less than that, and anything less than 0.24 is not acceptable by most agencies. Now, I can also, the grade out, if I wanted, I could just type in a % grade out. So I'm going to go ahead and type in, I want 1% out. And the last thing that I want is I want it to be an elevation of negative 0.35 down. Okay, I'm just arbitrarily picking these based on a grading idea that I have for the project. So you're going to have your grading idea set for the project before you can start doing the profile. Okay, the other thing that you have here is a profile vertical curve length. I'm going to change mine to be 175. Now, there are minimums based on the K value, and from the highway drafting class, we went over what the K value is, but we won't go over it here. But when you're designing roadways, you have to have a certain K value and a profile curve length that is acceptable by the agencies. But this is what we're going to use for right now. All right, so I'm going to click exit out of here, and what it does, it automatically builds our profile. All right, that's it for now. The next one is what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an assembly to be able to create a surface on our profile to start setting spot grades. All right, that's it for now. Go ahead and save this drawing out as proposed grade profile just in case it crashes in the future. You'll have some place to go back to start.